G'day ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on my journey through the constraints-led approach and ecological dynamics for BJJ. I am your host Sam Battlefields, and I am showing off my graphic design skills today. Actually, I'm showing off someone else's graphic design skills that I've done some poorly drawn things all over it. The reason why I did this is the more I'm getting into practice design for Leglocks, the more it becomes apparent that owning this part of our opponent, so basically the thighs, making sure that you have full control of them, that is how you can then implement the rest of your game, so your submissions, etc. Same with, if you need to do any kind of arm bar, anything, you need to have the top of the arms, as I've described on numerous occasions. You basically need to be controlling this. Why? Well, because in this case, with the arm, if I'm just controlling, say, the wrist, then there is 2 points of basically movement that can occur, which gives multiple planes of, how do I describe it? It's like multiple planes of dimensions to the moves that you can do. Whereas if you are holding this one, then there's only a certain number of planes of dimensions. I assume dimensions? Is that a right word? I don't really know, but I'm sure there's a better way to describe it. But what I'm saying is, if you hold this, I can move this in numerous ways, and at the same time also move the shoulder joint in numerous ways. Whereas if you control up here, I can only really move the shoulder joint, which means moving my entire body, right? So there's way less movement that can be done, and then if you're controlling here, you can then control, you can then manipulate the end of the lever in whichever configuration of submission you want to do. You can control the entire body from behind, controlling the neck. It's some sort of a rear naked. It's not obviously as well. If you had a full deep rear naked with, it's very difficult to sort of. Actually, there are numerous ways, but don't worry about that. That's not really what I'm referring to. What I was mainly looking at was that it's the same with leg locks, right? So by controlling the thighs, like if you control the ankle, the knee can bend and the hip joint can bend in various different ways. But if you control that, then the knee is only going in one way, which is somewhat a little bit different to the arm. Yeah, I won't go into that too much, but if you're controlling this, and I've spoken about it before, like if you've got a TV dinner, I'm going to call it. So if you've got a TV dinner on the top of your legs, if that knee is above the dinner plate, and you've got them enclosed, then you're in charge. And vice versa, and the opposite of that is if the knee's below that, then they are able to use a bit more of this leg movement coupled with this hip movement, hip joint movement, knee joint movement, and combined they can avoid some issues that you might be applying with a heel hook, ankle lock, all that kind of thing. It was really so today's lesson, it was only Brad, and Brad's a blue belt, been around the traps. I haven't mentioned him on here before, but Brad is he reckons he hasn't done much leg lock stuff at all. And so we just went through my old leg lock drill, which is ashy to double ashy to game over to cross ashy to 50-50, inside 50-50, outside 50-50, and backside 50-50. I won't go through too much of that today, but as in I won't delve into what each of them are. But it's interesting. I've been listening to a couple of different podcasts, and some of the guys, they're talking about how they don't name these techniques anymore, but they've all still got this. But like the ones that are in the ecosphere, but then they all still have this sort of almost like an afterthought. Like sometimes I think that I should teach them the names of it, and I'm in two minds about it as well. But I think that teaching the names, it allows an understanding, allows a shared understanding with the world that we are interacting with the rapid world that we're interacting with. So like we can say, yep. So we've got our legs enclosed around their thigh, and that means that for the most part, we are controlling that. But if we start, if they don't know, I don't know. I'm still in two minds about it. I think that it's definitely relevant to still use the terminology that is across the board. But then again, it's like cross ashy versus honey hole versus such all these different places have different names for it anyway. I think part of the reason why I'm kind of in the camp of just work out what works. So, and I think part of the reason is because this is what I'm seeing now. It's like, what do I need to control? In order to do anything to this limb, I need to control that. I mean, there's really not that much that I can do to that limb without having that there, having control of that, whether that be on my chest. And same deal. This, having the thigh in between my legs with the knee above the thigh line, the TV dinner line, and it's secured in. There's really not much more to it. So I get the new idea of just focus on the things that matter. But I also, and I think the pushback is coming from a bit of force going through the organisation that I was previously a part of. There's a bit of push to go back to the old school nomenclature and all this kind of stuff, and it's like I'm out of that world as well. So it's kind of I'm kind of out of that world, out of this world, into this world, and enjoying my time working through it here. So, but anyway, we went through virtually all these positions, and then we looked at because it was I'm a little bit with someone like him, we played a little bit, but not much. I think it was a concept thing because he just hadn't played with any of it ever. and I really should have. I played a lot. We played a lot of the kind of the escape. So literally, like if he could get his knee below that center line, get his knee outside of the top of the knees, and or put all his weight on the foot that was being attacked, they were all wins. And so he had a whole heap of questions around that. And then we ended up chatting for a bit, and I think I got a lot more buy-in from him on what I'm actually trying to achieve. Because you could see that as I was talking about it, he was like, oh shit, yeah, I get that. Like, this person has tried to tell me that this is the case, but I didn't quite get it until someone else explained it in a different way, and everyone was trying to explain it to me this way, but I picked it up this way, you know. And yeah, it definitely, I definitely feel like I got a bit more buy-in from him regarding this approach. I think as well, one thing that I did this morning when I got in, because I had a feeling it wasn't going to be a big class, I did have a plan, but the plan was basically go through the leg lock drill and then do single and double ashy escapes like last week, except for this time the goal for the person underneath was to get both their arm underneath the leg and clasped, or with the toes in the armpit, or toes in the armpit and their wristwatch on the underside of their heel. And even with that terminology, like as I was trying to explain it to Brad, I noticed that he was having a bit of troubles with the watch face analogy. So I think what I'll do is I'll just stick to straight ankle locks, because these guys, they haven't done any of it before, or much of it at all. So I think I'll stick to kind of white belt, because it's fair, like, in all positions, obviously heel hooks a lot, can be more accessible in my opinion, but I don't know, maybe it's because people aren't hiding it, because they don't use it often enough at our gym. I find that I use them often enough and I'm always hunting for them or searching for them and feeling them there. So if that's the case, then it's kind of like, alright, well, as I said, I feel like I'm intermediate when everyone else is beginner at the moment with leg locks, basically, because I've been playing with them, but systematically looking at what positions I'm in, and then going, okay, well, I'm in a shitty position, so I need to readjust this, or I'm in a position where I can actually play with this for a bit. They've got my leg, but I don't really give a fuck, because it's not a dominant position for them, and I've got the ankle, and I've got access to the heel hook. But kind of riffing a bit here, but I think what I'll do for the escape, so the person who's attacking the leg now is just going to start with both hands on the knee, for example, and the person is trying to get out, but the person who's got the leg is going to try and get their arm under the calf and connect it. So it's essentially the start of a straight ankle lock, and that's just a win from there. I want to see how that goes, because there could be some issues with that. I was lucky enough to see that the BJJ Globetrotters, I think it is, released a Eco, like 6 hours ago, an Eco leg lock seminar, which I already have pulled a little bit from it. He's gone a bit further back, so I think I'm going to pull a couple of things from it for the rest of this week. Anyway, stick around this week. I am going to be interviewing Mr. Scott Seafright from Primal MMA, the Primal MMA podcast. Definitely getting on that. I've literally just watched the Sonny Brown breakdown do a podcast with him, but that podcast, I believe, was recorded a couple of months back, and only just released this morning. So I'm kind of hoping that there's a bit of activity around Scott's name, and maybe get a few more subscribers to this channel. Anyway, this is Sam Battlefields. Like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any questions, stick them down. I'm keen to answer them. Looking forward to speaking with Scott later on this week. And cheers, peace.